All right. Good morning, my 112 students. Today we are doing Chapter 6, the integumentary system. It is considered the largest organ of the body because it covers you completely. All right. And just for your own edification, the integumentary system means to cover. Integument means to cover, and that's exactly what it does. It covers us. All right. We need to understand that we basically have two major layers, but I like to call it three layers. So here we go. The top layer is the epidermis. Hey, remember, epi means above the dermis. And then you got the dermis underneath. And then you have subcutaneous, up under cutaneous, the skin, under the skin. Also known as the hypodermis, below the dermis. Make sense? All right. So let's take a quick look and see at this plastic model. Let's see where these things are located. Okay? All right. All of these areas here, starting with these colorful stair steps, all of these up here is your epidermis. All right? All of this pink below is your dermis. And down here, where you see all the adipose tissue, the fat, that is your hypodermis. But not only is there fat down here, what else is down here? What are all of these red things? Blood vessels, okay? So, when you need to draw a patient's blood, what do you use? What kind of needle? A subcutaneous or a hypodermic needle to get into the hypodermis. Does that make sense? Yes, ma'am, can I? So, the next thing, does anybody need to prick their finger to get a little drop for your blood glucose? Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you use a big hypodermic needle and go all the way? No, you don't have to go all the way down. You use a very small needle, and all you got to do is puncture these tiny capillaries up here. Okay? All right. Now, you might say to yourself, okay, what's going on? Why is this thin and why is this so tall? Because this represents the palm and the sole. The palm and the sole is where we have the thickest epidermis. And it's not thick because all the other layers are the same. This is the top layer called the stratum corneum. That's right. Okay, so let's take a look at the board here. You know me, I'm always talking about simple ways to remember things. So to remember the 5 layers of your epidermis, a silly sentence. Can Lucy give some blood? Okay? And the first letter represents one of the stratums. All right? Now, stratum is a layer. So all of these are stratums. But each stratum has its own name. So the top layer is called the stratum corneum. Now, why corneum? Because the word corny means horny. Now, we're not saying horny like, hey, baby, let's go out to lunch. Not that kind of horny, but horn like a tough horn on a deer. Got it? A horn on a rhinoceros. Got it? It's tough. And it better be, it's the outer layer of our skin. Better be the toughest. Underneath that is the lucidum. Lucidum. Lucid means clear, and that's this layer. Here on this plastic model, it is white. Okay? Please note, this is going to be on your test. Your lucidum is only found in the sole and the palm. Notice, that white layer is not anywhere else. That's the rest of your body. This is your sole and your palm. Okay? It's only there. All right. Below that is the granulosum. Granulosum. And that's because by the time we get to this, the cells have little granules in them. And then we have the spinosum. And underneath that, we have the basali. That's the basement layer, the base layer at the bottom, okay? All right. Let's see if we can find those. See, the basement layer is this dark orange one at the bottom. Then this kind of tan one is your spinosum, then the granulosum, lucidum, and corneum. Okay? Everybody with me? All right, good.
I do have a question.
Yes, go.
Just for clarification, because of the model, the stratum corneum is everywhere on the body.
Yes.
It's just the stratum lucidum that's on the palms.
Yeah.
Even though it
lucidum is
doesn't
an
have
extra
it.
layer. Yeah.
Even though it doesn't have it on.
Right.
Okay.
And there is a series of questions on your study guide. Okay? So if I can remember them correctly, let's go over those because they have to do with these layers. Okay? All right. First of all, this is where they are all born. This is where all of your epidermal cells are born. They are born at the basale. It is one layer of cells. And they are born by mitosis. And as they grow, they move up, and the next one grows underneath it, and up and up and up. Okay? As they're going up, they are dying until they're here, and now they're dead. Got it? So the top layer is 100% dead. The lucidum is also dead, but only in the places where we have to have it be thickest. Think about it. Why do your soles have to be thickest? You're always walking on them. Why do your hands have to be the thickest? Because you're always picking things up with them. All right? Now, the spinosum is called spinos because when you look at it under a microscope, these cells look like they have little spines sticking out, but what they really are is collagen fibers that will attach to the cell underneath. Okay, that's all. And that's because, do you want to be able to pinch your skin and a whole piece comes out? No, so they hold on to each other really well for that. Okay. Because they're dying, the granulosum is starting to lose its organelles and the little granules. So, another possible test question. Which layer is the last one to get nutrients from the blood down here? The granulosum. Okay? Last one to get any stuff. Got it? Okay. Toughest, only found in the palm and the sole, bottom, and last one to get the stuff. You get the good stuff. Fair enough? All right. Let's see. What else do we need to do? Oh, I know what we can do. Yeah. See, on your textbook model, there's your epidermis here. Okay? And there's your hypodermis down here with the big blood vessels and the fat, the adipose tissue, and all of that pink stuff is your dermis. And who remembers what dermis is made out of? What kind of connective tissue?
Smooth.
No. What kind of connective tissue? Loose connective tissue, areolar connective tissue. All right. Now, while we're here, let's take a look at what's in the textbook and compare that to our model. Here is our hair. Here is the muscle that pulls on the hair. And we've got several glands in here as well. So let's take a look at the model because that's what's going to be on your lab practical. Ready? Okay. The part of the hair that is inside the skin is called the follicle. The part of the hair that's coming out of the skin is called the shaft. The bottom is the bulb. Okay? So, does it hurt to cut your hair? No. What hurts? Pull your hair, because guess what? Down here are the blood vessels and the nerves. That's why you yank somebody's hair. Ow! Got it? Okay. Now let's take a look at the glands. The glands are very important. You see these gray glands here that are on either side of a hair follicle? Those are your sebaceous glands, and they produce a chemical called sebum, from which we get the word sebaceous. This produces an oil that keeps your hair supple, otherwise it would dry out like a piece of straw and break off. It also comes out and covers your skin, so your skin is more supple and less ashy and dried out. Does that make sense? Okay. So those are your sebaceous glands, right here, always attached to the follicle. Do you see these little ones here with a long tube? those are your eccrine sweat glands, which are your typical making sweat, salt water. Okay? That's these guys. And notice, they're in your palms, aren't they? Okay, and your soles. And I think I mentioned in class, that's why some people who get nervous have sweaty palms, because there's sweat coming out of your palms. Or sweaty feet. Have you ever heard of somebody going to one of these get-together retreats, and learning how to walk across fire, work across hot coals? How does that work without getting burned? Because you're scared to death. And as you're scared, your feet make sweat. And every time you put your foot down, the sweat gets turned into steam and protects you. And then you get the next foot and the next foot. What's going to hurt you if you stop? You can't stop on those hot rocks. And we've kind of seen this before. Maybe we've done it. Have you ever been to a birthday and put out a candle? Why'd you lick your fingers first? Because the heat turns the water into steam, and that's what's protecting you before the heat can get to you. Okay? All right, same idea with the feet. Okay, so those are your eccrine sweat glands. What is this big dude here? This is the apocrine gland. Now, the apocrine gland is only in two places, in the armpits, okay, in the axillary region, and the urogenital region. And it only starts working at puberty. This is why a baby smells clean. Unless you took a doo-doo on you. But a baby smells clean, or even little kids. They can be running around all day long and be sweating, but they don't stink. Until one day, little Johnny's been out running around, and he comes in and goes, oh my gosh, what happened? He hit puberty. And that's the smell you get. And here's the reason why. This releases proteins and lipids. And guess who loves to eat that? The bacteria on our bodies. And this is also what gives each person their own distinct smell. All right? What did we do before showers and deodorants? Pretty stinky world, wasn't it? Okay. Well, guess what? The Lord gave us a nose to smell with, but it also gets used to smells, and then you don't smell it anymore. This is why you don't smell your own bad breath. You smell it when somebody goes, hi there, boom, that's something new, but you can't smell your own because your nose is right there, and your nose has gotten used to it. It's got habituated to it. And we got used to the smell of our own family or our own clan. What does a dog do when it meets another dog? Sniffs what?
Their butt.
Which is the most stinky part of their body. If that butt is something that I recognize, you're part of my group. That butt I don't recognize, chomp. Does that make sense? Because they still do the smells. We probably did many, many moons ago. Yes, ma'am.
Is it true for someone to smell their own bad breath, they have to lick their hand, let it dry, and then smell it?
That's one way of doing it. Yeah. But just, this whole idea of, no. Okay? All right. Are we cool? Usually somebody close to you will tell you, get some Listerine. Yeah. All right. Are we good? Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about these glands in a few minutes. See, here is your follicle. Oh, what's this red thing attached to this hair follicle? This is the erector pili muscle. When you're cold, this pulls and your hair stands on end. When you're scared, this pulls and your hair stands on end. You might have heard, ooh, that was so creepy, it made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. You've heard that before, right? Okay. Now, a little bit more obvious are birds. Birds have feathers instead of hair. Have you seen when it got really cold a couple of weeks ago that all the birds on your back porch were kind of fluffed out and a little bit fatter? They didn't gain weight. All of their erector pili muscles pulled and their feathers, instead of being down, stood up. Now, what's the purpose in your feathers standing up?
Insulation?
It's insulation. It traps air between, and that air takes a long time for the cold to penetrate all the way down to the skin, which is exactly why fiberglass insulation has holes in it and air pockets in it. And this is why, if it's a very cold day, you go out in layered clothes, because every layer of clothes traps air. Got it? And it takes a long time for it to get through each layer of trapped air. Do we have single paned windows anymore or double paned windows?
Double.
Because there's a layer of air in between to slow down the heat or slow down the cold from coming from outside to inside. Okay? Trapped air. Okay, so that's what that's for. Okay, let me move to the whiteboard here. I want to show you this. Can you see this over here?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have 3 kinds of glands. I'll do cornea. Okay, here's one kind of gland. Here's another kind of gland. And here's another kind of gland. Okay? That's the tube going to the surface of your skin, and this is the bottom where we have all our cells that make up basically the gland. I'm not an artist. Okay? All right. The first kind that we need to know is called a merocrine. Now, crine always means to release, okay? Like endocrine glands release the hormones inside. These are all exocrine glands because they release their fluids to the outside of your body, okay? Well, merocrine is another variation. The word mer means unit, okay? That means unit.